China, 400-something BC. There is no China. China exploded about 100 years ago, and now there are 7 kingdoms left standing and no dragons to put them back together. Each one wants to conquer the others, and much like Galapagos finches, they have each adapted their own survival strategy. In their natural habitat of the Sichuan Valley, sitting on more food than they know what to do with, is the kingdom of Qin. Beautiful plumage. Qin is the strongest of all the kingdoms, but they're stuck behind one narrow pass through the mountains. It stops the rest of China from invading them, but it also makes it very hard to invade the rest of China. Sitting right atop, right astride that mountain pass, is the kingdom of Han.
What is my purpose?
You're a human shield getting in the way of the Qin.
Yo.
To the south of Han is Chu. Defense strategy, hella. Hella land, hella people, but also hella problems. They're still doing the same things that caused China to split in the first place and wondering why it's not working for them. To the next to Han is Wei. They built some bitchin' city walls and called it a day. The kingdom of Yan exists for some reason. The kingdom of Qi is sitting on the sidelines taking bribes from everybody and doing nothing. And to the north is the kingdom of Zhao. Zhou is not strong enough to conquer their neighbors because their top general Li Mu spec'd into defense, but holy for a holy did he put a lot of points into defense. The kingdom of Zhou has recently mopped the floor with the kingdom of Qin and has politely requested that the Qin stop trying to conquer all of China. They are currently keeping the peace by holding a Qinese prince hostage. His name is Yiren, but one day, a Zhouese merchant named Lu Buwei, crosses paths with Yiren and says, "Now that there is a rare piece of merchandise." Lu Buwei changes careers on the spot. That's not really something you can do in Zhou or any of the Chinese kingdoms, except for Qin. The kingdom of Qin invented this thing called legalism, which says, give the important jobs to people who are good at the jobs, not the people whose dad's uncle was good at his job. Also, everyone is evil and you should beat them with a stick until they behave. But it's that first part Lu Buwei cares about. He wheels and deals in the kingdom of Qin until he makes Yiren the official heir to the kingdom. Yiren repays this stranger's kindness by sleeping with his girlfriend. Lu Buwei, though, is all in on making friends with this guy, so he says, "I see you too have excellent taste in women." Yiren and his new wife have a son. When Yiren becomes king, Yiren gets to leave, but his son has to stay in Zhou. The Zhou name the boy Zhou, after the Zhou kingdom. The Zhou think that Zhou will like Zhou if they name him Zhou. He does not. But when Zhou is 13 years old, his father Yiren dies. After spending his whole life being bullied in captivity, he is about to become the king of Qin. The king of Zhou tells him, "Okay, go be king. Remember all the fond memories we made. Press the button." So Zhou becomes king of Qin, and everyone agrees that is super confusing, and so they change his name to Shi Huang. He is still 13, so he doesn't really get to be king. The man who does get to be king, basically, is King Yiren's best friend and former merchant, Lu Buwei. Lu Buwei is quite pleased with his return on investment. In 13 years, he has gone from a merchant with a girlfriend to the regent of the most powerful kingdom in the known world. And he got to keep his girlfriend, because after King Yiren died, guess who took his place in the bedroom? Fast forward a few years, King Shi Huang is coming of age, and Lu Buwei is getting nervous. He's been bumping uglies with the king's mom for a while now, and he's worried the king might not take it well if he finds out. He has to end this affair in a way that'll keep the queen happy and keep her quiet. So he comes up with a plan. He posts a job opening for a new servant with just one requirement. Applicant must be able to spin a wagon wheel around his penis. He finds his guy, Lao Ai. Now to get Lao Ai into the palace, he has to pretend he isn't there to hook up with the queen. So Lao Ai, recruited specifically for his massive schlong and raging testosterone, must pretend to be a humble eunuch. Lao Ai commits to the bit every morning by plucking out every single hair from his face. But the scheme works. Lao Ai starts sleeping with the queen, Lu Buwei is off the hook, mission accomplished. Except, Lao Ai gets ambitious. Lao Ai is starting to think he could take the crown and give it to his own son. Everyone thinks he's a eunuch. They'll have no suspicions at all when he pulls a coup in the name of some random 12-year-old. He's halfway through planning his brilliant scheme when someone overhears him bragging out loud about how he is totally banging the king's mom. Guess he's not a eunuch after all. Lucky for King Shi Huang, the army stays loyal and puts down the coup before it really gets started. Lao Ai is torn into pieces by 5 horses. Lu Bu Wei tries to play it cool. Don't look at me, I never had anything to do with that guy. You'll never take me alive. Lu Bu Wei poisons himself to death before the king can change his mind. He does not want to go out like Lao Ai. So now King Shi Huang is really properly in charge, and he decides it's time to get serious about this conquering China business. He calls up his most loyal advisor, Li Si, or something like that, because the English doesn't come with tones and I can't read Chinese. Li Si is kind of the brains behind this operation.
All right, darling, let's get the show on the road. We can beat literally anyone, okay? But we can't beat literally everyone. Capiche?
Indeed. It's a problem that has plagued our kingdom for generations. Whenever we strike, the other 6 kingdoms gang up on us.
Literally, just bribe them.
Just bribe them? Just bribe them! Not the kings, no, just throw money at all of their ministers and suddenly everybody that those kings trust is telling them, "No, my liege, the Qin are no threat to us. We should do nothing and watch them conquer all of our neighbors. Trust me." And so because every royal court in China looked like this, the Qin get to play out the entire thing like a video game and take them on one by one from weakest to strongest. The first thing they need to do is break through the mountain pass. Han is the state sitting on top of it, and they're just a buffer state. Without anybody coming in to help them, the Qin army marches straight to the capital, knocks on the door, and the king comes out and they escort him away. But importantly, Shi Huang doesn't just conquer the kingdom and leave. All of this feudalism stuff that China is doing, he's not doing that. Li Si makes sure all of the Han nobles are removed from power and replaced by bureaucrats. God, I love a good China episode. Now conveniently, just as all of those bureaucrats are moving in, the kingdom of Zhou gets hit with an earthquake and a famine at the same time. Hell yeah. Shi Huang invades Zhou, and Zhou still kicks his teeth in because Li Mu is that overpowered. Now you might have noticed that Zhou is in the north. That means not only is Li Mu winning against all of the other Chinese kingdoms, he is also being constantly attacked by the Mongols. It's the Mongols with a different name, but they're basically the Mongols. And he just kills all of them like it ain't no thing. What does Li Si suggest? Bribery.
They're no worse than raiders. We'll draw them into the heartland and close our ranks around them.
Sire, it has come to our attention that Li Mu is scheming against you.
What are you talking about?
It brings us no joy to bring bad news, sire, but he must be executed for the good of the realm.
The good of the realm.
Yes.
Li Mu is executed for his crimes. Suddenly, conquering Zhou is much easier. The Zhou king is defeated and sent into exile. The bureaucrats come in by the cartful, and I can't help but wonder what happened to those advisors in the end. Word spreads fast of the fall of Zhou. Even the faraway kingdom of Yan, camping in the corner over here, hears tell of Qin Shi Huang's conquests. Prithee, my trusted advisor. The kingdom of Qin is now at our doorstep. Whither shall our course lead? It's cool. Yeah, he's one of the only advisors who wasn't blatantly evil. One of the Zhou princes made it out of there with an army. We add him to the group chat with the other kingdoms. We crab bucket Qin, no problem. My liege, the Oxbones say we should send an assassin and be done with it. Scapula's never steered me wrong before. They send the assassin. The assassin comes to the royal Qin court with a map of all of the lands that the Yan kingdom is going to give the Qin. He's like, get a closer look at this cool map. It's got a dagger in it. Hiya! And then misses. The king draws his own sword. They have a silly little Pirates of the Caribbean duel around a pillar. Shi Huang has the range, but the assassin can use his dagger like a throwing knife. Hiya! He misses again. This assassination attempt was later followed by an even better assassination attempt. When Qin takes over Yan, spoilers, all of the first assassin's friends and family are ordered to be executed. One of his friends just happened to be a famous musician named Gao Jianli. Gao flees into the hills and starts a new life in a small town under a fake name. Well, years go by and Qin Shi Huang never finds him. One day, Gao's sitting around and some bard is butchering his favorite song and he just can't help himself. He gets up and outshines him in front of the whole crowd. Everybody in the room is moved to tears at how good his music is, and he quickly regains celebrity status. Gao is then called to play for the king. There is about to be some Monte Cristo action up in here. I don't know, I've never read the book, but Gao's got his fame and he's about to get his revenge. Until he goes to court and someone recognizes him as that famous musician who was friends with the last assassin. Gao is hauled away to be executed when suddenly Qin Shi Huang orders the guards to stop. Yes, this man may be a devil in his heart, but he sings with the voice of an angel. Gouge out his eyes and then make him play for me. So Gao's eyes are ripped from his sockets and the king asks him to pretty please play some music for him. Little did he know, the reason they never found a weapon on Gao's body was because his instrument was the weapon. It had been weighted with a slab of lead, thick enough to bash the king's skull in. Gao raises it by the neck and swings at the king. He misses, of course, because he is blind. So Yan falls, or at least mostly falls. Shi Huang leaves a little bit for dessert, and the only major players left are Wei and Chu. Put together, their forces outnumber Qin's army, but Shi Huang has a brilliant general named Wang Ben. Yes, Ben. His name is Ben. Ben, right now, is to the army what Li Si is to the administration. Super genius type guy. Ben's first move is to look for a defensive line between Qin and Chu to hold the line while he focuses on conquering Wei. He finds it inside the kingdom of Chu. Normally, starting a war on two fronts, bad idea, but Ben's not going for a full send invasion here. All he needs to do is send enough men into Chu so that when he eventually invades Wei, the Chu advisors will all say,
Sire, we can't send men to defend our neighbors while we're under attack.
We don't even like our neighbors. Then he begins the invasion of Wei. The Wei don't really understand why they're being invaded. Kind of like Zhou, they are really good at defending themselves. But instead of a genius general who can be executed, they're hiding behind thick walls and a thicker river. Two rivers, actually. They've got moat for days, and no amount of bribery is going to change that. So they're a little confused why Benjamin over here is about to lay siege to their capital for like 2 to 3 years. Like, this is their whole thing. Ben's gonna run out of food and supplies way before they do. Ben has barely set up his siege when he and a bunch of his men decide to just leave and go somewhere else. The Wei aren't sure where they went, if this is like some kind of trap to get them to leave their castle, or if they're pillaging the countryside for supplies. And then a funny little thing happens. The Yellow River, the second largest river in China, moves. It moves on top of the city. Our friend Ben and his boys spent 3 months digging upstream to divert the entire river so that it ran through the city instead of around it. The walls crumble at their very foundations. 100,000 civilians are swept away in the torrent. The Lannisters send their regards. The kingdom of Chu, who's been fighting their little border skirmish with Qin, is next on the chopping block. King Shi Huan turns to his general and asks, how many men do we need to take on Chu? Ben's dad, Wang Jian, that's Jian, but it sounds kind of like John, so we'll just call him John, reports, seeing as it took 600,000 men to pull that stunt in Wei, and Chu has twice the population and 8 times the land, we'll need at least 600,000.
I could do that for 2.
Sold! 200,000 men for Li Xin. Wang Jian, you're fired. The war doesn't fall apart immediately, but the Chu's generals are more clever than Shi Huang gave them credit for. So Shi Huang has to knock on Wang Jian's door personally and ask, hey, Hey, buddy, are we still good for 600,000 troops? Wang Zhan and 600,000 troops does the trick. The Chu can't force their way through, and the Chu king is turned into a commoner. Shi Huang takes that last little bit of yan for dessert, and then the king of Qi comes out of his palace and says, "How about you be king of Qi?" And so in 221 BC, Qin Shi Huang and Li Si abolish feudalism and invent China. Oh my goodness, look at that, what a beauty. They tore down the walls between the warring states, and you know what they did? The Great Wall of China. Part of it anyway. And now, even though everybody speaks different dialects that are basically different languages, but don't tell the Chinese that, they all write them the same way. That's the power of Chinese characters, baby. You pronounce them however you want. Now, if you think this empire looks good on the outside, wait until you pop open the hood. New administrative units and subunits down to groups of families who police each other and collect each other's taxes for you out of paranoia. And check this out. Province governors, 2 of them. The guy who runs the government and the guy who runs the military. Never the same guy. Both guys rotate to a new province every few years so they don't start building up their own armies against you. And every time one of them dies, the emperor gets to pick anybody he wants to fill the job. Plus, each province has their own inspector reporting back to HQ. Feudalism could never. Was it actually a good place to live in? Shut up, stop asking questions. Li Si declared there were only 2 genres of books: instruction manuals and political. So everything that wasn't written in Chinese on the subject of agriculture, medicine, and prophecy was burned, because prophecy is famously apolitical. Qin Shi Huang, now the first ever emperor of China, achieved all of his dreams of unification and decided he needed to dream bigger. He confiscated all of the bronze weapons from the 7 kingdoms, well, the 6 kingdoms that had opposed him, and melted them down into 12 bronze colossi. This was, in his head, an achievement very much on par with unifying the country. Honestly, the fact that he had so many talented people around him who never stabbed him in the back was a miracle. He got really into astrology. He had this whole thing about the past dynasty being fire and the Qin was water and winter is the best season, and he declared that everyone's favorite number is now 6. Now, he never talked with anyone about the fact that he might die, but you could tell he was thinking about it because he started building perhaps the most elaborate tomb in all of human history. Maybe Sans pyramids. Now, even if you forget about the flowing rivers and the replica palaces inside, he built more than 8,000 life-size terracotta soldiers just to put around the outside. Every single one is life-sized and has a unique face. We've never even seen the inside of the tomb. Archaeologists have never opened it, and I can't blame them. I wouldn't want to be the one to watch all of these guys come to life and their heads turn towards me at the same time. Best case scenario, the mummy. Worst case scenario, weeping angels. But what we think is there is pretty much all of the mercury that was produced in Shi Huang's entire lifetime. There are ancient descriptions of 100 rivers of flowing mercury, and we checked, and yeah, the soil still has mercury in it 2,000 years later. Shi Huang had a thing for mercury ever since. Sire, mercury can dissolve metal. Think what it can do to your insides. For your insides. Roll for deception. Nat 20. Let's f***ing go. And he probably killed himself with alternative medicine. Or, as it was known at the time, medicine. Little mercury pills every day until he died. Nobody actually knew when he died. Li Si found out and came up with a nutso plan to hide it. He made sure the emperor continued to be seen leaving his room, riding inside his cart. He had been dead for several weeks and stank to high heaven, so Li Si began to flank the emperor's carriage with giant piles of dead fish. Nothing suspicious to see here. Qin Shi Huang never wrote a will, and so despite Li Si's best efforts, the dynasty immediately collapsed. But Imperial China as a thing continued for more than 2,000 years, and it's weird and wonderful and full of bureaucracy and palace schemes and civil wars that last for centuries and spontaneous disasters that will casually wipe out like a sixth of the world's population. China is just built different, and I want to show it to you. Like, more Chinese history videos, yes, but also I want to show it to you. I'm arranging a trip to China. We've done these before in Rome and Japan. They're organized by Trover Trip. If I were smart, I would have vlogged them or something, but I'm too busy having an adventure. So all you've got to go on are these pictures and mystique is really started to shape up into something like summer camp for history nerds. I show up each year thinking, oh yeah, I've always wanted to see the Colosseum, and like 2 days later it's turned into, for the next 5 days, these are my new best friends, and then we shall probably never see each other again. That's not totally true. We've had a couple people show up on multiple trips. China is a huge item on my bucket list. This tour goes to Beijing to see the Forbidden City where the emperors lived, and the Great Wall, and the ancient capital Xi'an to see Qin Shi Huang's terracotta soldiers and rivers of Mercury, except not the rivers of Mercury. That would be bad. And obviously, everyone's situation is different, but I want to make sure at least more people had the opportunity to come on one of these. Our past itineraries are a little over $3,000 now. This one is $22.99, or for the first 8 signups, it is just below $2K at $19.99. 25% upfront, the rest paid out over the next year. It's 8 days in China, September 23rd through 30th, 2027. Still a long way out, but believe me, those early bird tickets can go fast, and we're unfortunately capped at 24 people. We're gonna go tobogganing down from the Great Wall. There's a part where we get to have dinner with a local family and make dumplings. It's gonna be so much fun. The full itinerary is in the link on screen, in the description, cards, pinned comments, wherever those things live.